Hey, welcome! Today, we're digging into two of literature's most fascinating heroes. They both share the title Dawn, and they're both on this incredible quest, not for gold or glory, but for a life that actually means something. We're going to get right to the heart of what makes them tick.
So it all really boils down to this one huge question. Is faith just about what you believe in your head, or is it about what you actually do? With your own two hands. The way our two heroes answer this question is what sends them down two completely different roads. Now, to really get these guys, you need to understand this idea of the Hombre Proyectado, which basically means the projected man. This is not a faith that just sits around thinking deep thoughts. Nope. This is a faith that projects itself out into the world. It's an ideal in motion. And our two dons, Quijote and Sapiente, are the poster children for this.
Okay, so if they're both all about action, where do they even begin? Let's take a look at our first major difference, where their faith actually comes from.
So on one hand, you've got Don Quixote. He's the Cristiano Viejo, the old believer. For him, faith is just there. It's inherited, part of his culture, like the air he breathes. He accepts it all, no questions asked. But then you have Don Sapiente, the new convert, and his story is the exact opposite. His faith is something he has to fight for, something born out of a total intellectual crisis. He starts out as a proud skeptic who believes only in his own brainpower.
To really get Don Sapiente's journey, you have to know this word, metanoia. It doesn't just mean changing your opinion. It means a total, deep, transformative change of heart, like a complete spiritual rewiring. This one concept is basically the engine for his entire story.
And you can actually watch this transformation happen in 3 stages. First, Sapiente is all about intellectual pride. He thinks faith is a fairy tale and his own reason is king. Then he shifts into social action. He starts to see that, hey, maybe faith can be a useful tool for justice. And finally, he arrives at humble surrender. This is his metanoia moment, where he realizes that real truth isn't found in books or big ideas, but in the simple act of helping someone else.
So with these very different starting points, what did they actually try to achieve in the world? Well, this brings us to their missions, which were about as different as you can get. Think swords versus soup kitchens.
And wow, the contrast here is just night and day. Don Quixote sees himself as a minister of God, and his weapon is the sword. His whole mission is to bring back this mythical, perfect past, the golden age of chivalry. Don Sapiente, though, he uses dialogue and service. He's not trying to restore the past, he's trying to build a pragmatic utopia right here, right now, through real, tangible acts of justice.
And this quote from Don Quixote, it says it all. For him, chivalry isn't just some code of honor, it is a religion. He literally believes there are knights who became saints in heaven. He completely merges his earthly mission with a divine one. That sort of it's an instrument of God.
So, this all leads to a really fundamental question about who they are. What does it actually mean to be a hero? Is it about conquering evil, or is it something else entirely? To get Don Sapiente's really radical take on heroism, we need one more big idea, kenosis. The best way to think about it is self-emptying. It's about letting go of your own ego, your own will, your own power, so you can become open to something bigger. It's this wild idea that real strength comes from making yourself vulnerable.
So what we have are two totally clashing models for what a hero looks like. Don Quixote is the conquering saint. He looks up to those who won heaven by force of arms. He's the classic hero who defeats evil. But Don Sapiente just blows that whole idea up. He is the servant hero. His strength isn't in winning battles, but in that kenosis, in serving others and embracing vulnerability. It's a total game changer for what a hero can be.
Of course, every great idealist needs someone to keep them from floating off into the clouds, right? Every visionary needs a friend to remind them that, hey, even world changers need to eat dinner.
And that's exactly where their sidekicks come in. For Quijote, you have Sancho Panza, who's basically the voice of common sense in an empty stomach. His simple realism is the rope that keeps Quijote tethered to planet Earth. And in the same way, you have Don Pancho, the anchor for the philosopher Sapiente. His wisdom of the soup is just this beautiful idea that charity can't just be a theory. It has to be as real and warm as a bowl of soup for someone who's hungry.
Okay, so let's just pull all this together for a second. Look at Don Quixote. His motivation is this grand, heroic idealism, but his biggest obstacle is that he's not really seeing reality clearly. For Don Sapiente, the motivation is this humble search for truth, but his obstacle is his own intellectual pride. And their idea of a perfect world,
One is trying to get back to a mythical golden age, the other is trying to build a future based on a constitution of service. So different.
All right, now we come to the end of their journeys. And after seeing all these differences in their faith, their missions, their very idea of heroism, you'd think they would end up miles apart. But what actually happens is, well, it's pretty amazing.
Because here's the thing, despite taking these wildly different paths, both men find their ultimate truth in the exact same place. It's not in some epic victory, and it's not in finally achieving their dreams. It's in the quiet, simple act of surrender.
Just listen to Don Quixote at the end of his life. He says he's no longer the great knight Don Quixote de la Mancha. He's just Alonso Quijano, a man people called the Good. He lets go of the larger-than-life hero to find peace in just being a good man.
And then you have Don Sapiente, who arrives at the very same conclusion. After a lifetime spent building these giant walls of intellect, he just lets them all fall down. The pride of my intellect has fallen, he admits. He's tired of just thinking. He returns to the simple fold, not to reason, but just to love. He gives up his brilliant mind for an open heart.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. These two men spent their entire lives fighting for what they believed in. But it leaves you with this incredible question. What if the real victory, the ultimate prize, isn't in the fight at all? What if it's found in that last, quiet, humble moment of just letting it all go? That's a powerful idea to sit with.